Hello and welcome to episode 28 of Alex Builds. Now there's no question we have quite major episodes from time to time, like concrete fiascos or arch builds, and today is no exception, because today is the episode where we get the rest of the massive oak frame up. Now we're going to crack on today because I think this has been going a bit slow. Episode 25 was a raised collar truss, episode 26 was the side, and this is where we left episode 27 with the lower back section. So the last thing we did on episode 27 was to dowel the lower back section onto the lower side section. And trust me, that's going to need to be secure because we're about to drop about a ton of oak on top of the back section, which until we get the purlins in is going to be largely unsupported. Access for this one is going to be tricky because I'm going to have to approach it through the barn with a telehandler, which risks hitting the raised collar truss. Okay, let's get back on site, and the first problem I've got to deal with is the fact that I haven't actually quite finished constructing the upper section.
Right, so I haven't actually got much to do on this upper section. It's all lining up, but this strut here was miscut. So I've got a bit of wood down, so I just need to do both ends. Don't be fooled by this tenon here, by the way. I actually cut that for a separate thing, so if you were to look, it definitely does not line up. I wonder, I'm going to time this. Could I get this whole thing cut accurately within 1 hour? Let's try it. Oh, that was not fun. Let's try and fit it, shall we? Back hurts. Needs to be working at the right height, really. If this doesn't fit, I'm going to cry. Okay. Still not great, if I'll be honest. Okay, just a bit of commentary. I don't need to get this all the way in. I just need to get it into a place where I can pick it up if I approach from the barn arch end. Now, I'm thinking this might be a bit dodgy, but if I actually just proceed forward now, it's just going to swing round against that bit of wood. Could take some of the stonework with it though, so I'm going to try that, but very cautiously.
Well, we've got a bit of a cluster in Central Europe and it's about to get bigger because Arnaud in Paris says no flag for France. A good point. Well, I'm just going to do my bit here for the Alex Builds en temps cordial. Thanks for watching, Arnaud.
Not the best bit of wood storage ever, leaving it on the lawn. And this is one of them. Now, the actual length of the barn from end to end is 6.5 metres, and I want it to overlap by at least 10 centimetres at the end. So if this is less than 670 centimetres, I've got an issue. I'm sure it's all right. Okay. 681, that's good. But no real margin for error.
Now, you might be wondering, if I'm working on this top back bit, why am I messing around with purlins? Well, in a minute, when we come to drop this down, it's going to find itself sitting here unsupported. And I've got to say, that makes me very, very nervous indeed. What I want to do is I want to get the purlins in as quickly as possible, starting with the one at the top that offers the most structure. The problem is though, if I've already put the top one in, how am I going to get the back one over the top? And remember that I'm approaching from the right of your screen with a telehandler. So the cunning answer is that although I'm not ready to install it yet, I'm going to lift it over to that side and leave it perched on top of the side beam, which will actually offer a bit more weight and support to the structure. Then later on I can then come in with the telehandler and lift it up from underneath and plonk it into position. Genius. As you can probably hear, it's getting really blustery on site, and regular viewers may remember when my camera got blown over in episode 23. Well, I'm not going to get caught out by that again. do understand as you're watching this probably looks quite trivial, you know, just a long bit of wood, but remember, you know, it's not a bit of 2x4. Oak is very heavy, it's well over 6 meters long, and it's 150 by 150 mil. So at least a couple of 100 kilos here, and if I were to drop it, or get it wrong, or let it land the brickwork, you know, bad things can happen. Here I am yet again, enjoying the British weather to bring you these videos. Now, if you are enjoying them, or maybe just as an act of pity, it would really help me if you could click like or subscribe to the video. It really does help, and I greatly appreciate it.
Right, it's been a while, but we've got a cock up. Quite big. Not catastrophic, but not trivial.
Right, I did make an attempt to explain it down on the site, but it was a bit long-winded and unclear, so let's start with a diagram. This is what it should look like, and it should be 4 meters across at the bottom. This is what it actually looks like, which is more than 4 meters across at the bottom. So the very kind of left should be lining up at that line there, but in fact it's protruding out to where I've drawn that line. So the solution is that I'm basically going to have to lop a load off the bottom, but look where the mouse cursor is. You can see it's going to interfere with the struts and the tenon. Nonetheless, I'm just going to have to do it, cut it all out like this, and when that's done, in theory, I can drop it down into position and all will be sorted.
Okay, that's that done. Very, very iffy quality, but it's okay. It'll go in. Be very hard to see as well, truth be told, all the way up there. Okay, you can see where I'm heading with this. So this section here, that's actually, well, that half of it is going to be where the new tenon's going to be. So there you go. So if you're looking there, you can see half a tenon. You can see what I'm doing. Right, let's carry on with this now. Just need to get this very bottom section off now. Okay, taking the end piece off there. Predictably, here's the bloody heavy rain. I saw it was coming. Now, as often the case, when you've got one problem, it leads to another. So this is the line here. You can see the start of a tenon coming down. But if you look in the middle, let's see if I can get this out. Okay, I can't get it out. Hope you can see in the gap. The problem is, that is the mortise for the side bits. So there is no material to make a tenon. If anything, I have got a mortise going up. That's a weird one. So this bit will definitely come off in a minute, ignore that. I mean, there was actually quite a bit of material there, which protrudes up, so I think I'll have to sawed a bit off. I think that might be just better just to keep that. It's not a particularly good tenon, but really, I mean, the weight is going down. It's not like I'm lifting this thing and the beam is pulling down on it. I mean, I'd far rather have better, but there you go. Okay, we're done. It wasn't too bad in the end. I think there's a few dodgy cuts here or there. Standard form, so there's the end tenon there. Here's this unusual one on this side, all a bit uneven, but let's go. And then this one here with that dreadful cut with a reciprocating saw where I've gone up. Anyway, that one won't be seen. Although I've just noticed it's on the other side as well. I don't care, that's going to be out of the way. I just want to get this done now. I suppose the good news is it's actually, I mean, it really does make a hell of a difference in terms of its feel, in terms of size. It also feels more stable as well when I put it down. I don't know, maybe that was a blessing in disguise. I doubt it, but maybe it was. There you go, the mortise up high, bit of action up there. Okay, so you can see that I have extended that mortise Not quite as deep and not quite as wide. It's not quite as big, this one. So I'm going to make it a little bit snugger. So, oh, by the way, I punched a little drill hole in there because it's constantly filled out of water. It's quite satisfying. I might film the next one. Okay, there you go, that's done. That's not stuck in, by the way. I was just testing it. Just let that flow out now. Well, it's Saturday the 30th of December 2023, and this is going to be the big finale to the year, because very soon I'm going to drive a telehandler in here and I'm going to pick this up. I need to set the forks. I'm going to pick it up somewhere in the middle. Then I need to move this bit of 2x4 in the middle here. I have re-braced all of this stuff now at the top, and I'm going to attempt to lift this up. There are the 3 tenons at the bottom, 1, 2 at the end, and let's call it half in the middle, and I've got to plonk it up on there. I believe that this back thing is well supported, well structured. I've got an extra kind of long 2x2x4 ready to help brace this thing up, and of course I'm not going to let it go from the telehandler until I'm convinced it's okay, but the adrenaline is flowing a bit because it's a big lift. Things can go wrong. Okay, very nearly, really close. I'll get up in a second and show you what's what. I mean, it broadly fits, we're just a bit tight on one side. Okay, I'm just going to show you what's going on up here. So as you can see, I've got this lined up and ready to go in. I mean, they're quite easy to move around. Put my fingers in there, but trust me, you can actually move that around quite easily. If you just look further down, we're just a bit out of line. So basically, if I just drop this down a teeny bit further, and this one is actually dropping first because it's slightly lopsided, then I can probably just shuffle forward, and hopefully the other two will drop in. Okay, the problem is it's just a little bit too narrow on the inside. So, and I think the reason why is, of course, as it's sat here, it's probably sort of sunk a little bit, which has pulled the outer tenons in. We're only about 4 mil out. So what I'm going to do is these biggest tenons on the left and right, I'm just going to take about 15 mil off each of them on the inside. Green lights.
117 meters. 2 green, 1 red.
Okay, left one is in. I think middle was there or thereabouts, and I'm just going to go and check this one, which is catching. Yeah, that does look to have dropped in pretty comfortably. Just a little bit out here, so I just need to maybe pull that across, push that across. Quite a bit of play. So if I just reverse back, I think we might be alright with this one. Oh, we're so close. All that's happening is that this is too narrow, this bit here, just for this very end. It's alright down here, but when I've mortised it, I think I've just brought the edge in a little bit, and I've tried doing it. You can't just wedge it in, it doesn't work. There's no give in this stuff at all. So I'm actually just going to get the reciprocating saw out, focus, and just take a little bit off that. Should be alright, this stuff. So there you go, taking a couple of slithers out, not very neat. I just need to create enough room for it. Please, this time, I think this could drop now. Drop in, I mean. Drop in.
Execute.
So I think this one is just caught. I think when I cut that piece out, just didn't get quite enough off at the bottom. I'm going to go and have a look at that now. Okay, we're in. I'm giving that a 7.5 out of 10 on the old stress levels. It's great. But what a cock up. Okay, so I didn't film all of this, but I basically got it in. And on the last bit of footage I said, oh, it's sitting up a bit on the right. Okay, that's fine. It's still doing that a tiny bit. But the worst bit was, whenever I retracted the telehandler arm, I realised that it wasn't sitting up on its own. It was falling back towards me. I then realised why that was. It's of course because I've attached a bloody arm with a ratchet strap, so it was the strap pulling it. So actually when it's loose, it does sit nice and flush on this, which is good. I think the best thing to do now is have a cuppa. Calm my nerves. Okay, just going to get the old 2x4 and get this thing hopefully secure and stable. I think it's naturally leaning in a little bit. I mean, again, it's resting on its own feet. I know that because I saw it land and sort of wobble. Again, definitely going to need some extra support on this one. Very imposing from down here in the wood. You can make it out of the silhouette. Just trying to get the old 2x2x4 on. Quite heavy. For once I was reasonably foresighted and put that notch of oak in so that I could rest the 2x4 against it rather than having to get up a ladder from this side, which I particularly did not want to do. Right, I'm happy with this at the moment. There's a couple of small snags. One is that the king post is just protruding over that lip, not by a lot. Another thing is that the struts don't sit beautifully, not as well as I would have hoped. I could give this a little nudge, the telehandler. It just feels like asking for trouble, doesn't it? Similarly, on this side here, this is still sitting up 1/2 inch. Now, it might be my imagination, but I am sure each time I look at this, this has come down a bit further. So maybe just let it naturally do its stuff, you know? So what I could do is not dowel it. And then by the time I've got the purlins on and the rafters and whatever, you know, if it wants to come, it will. But yeah, that's a good decision. In terms of that protruding a little bit, 100% asking for trouble. I'm just not going to push that back. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. So I think I'm going to declare that in.
Well, the map is starting to fill up quite nicely, but I've noticed we haven't got a single one in Australia, and we do have quite a few viewers there. So let's head right down to the south of Australia to Port Pirie, or Port Pirie, where we will find Harry, who has been watching the channel, who says, "G'day, mate." That's possibly offensive, that accent. Apologies all round if it is, but thanks for watching, Harry.
God, I had a right job getting this purlin onto the telehandler. Strapped it onto a certain extent, still doesn't feel very central, so I'm going to push it across. Anyway, I've taken out, moved the top stabilising 2x4, so we are ready now to take the purlin. So a tiny bit more prep and then it's drone up. Right, we're getting close to doing the purlin. Slight issue I've got is that it's not completely balanced. I should have put the forks out a little bit wider. Now I can attach a strap from here to here and that will do it to a certain extent. But because I can't get the telehandler central on the wood because the wall's in the way, it's a bit out of balance. And actually it's occurred to me probably the best thing to do is counterweight it at this end. Just put something on top. We can get it off afterwards.
So we've got a nice bit of drone footage from above, which makes it all look very, very easy. Remember, you haven't got this visibility in the cab because you've got the contrast of the sky and you're looking through like a roof window that's got bars on it, so it is hard to see. So what I'm doing here is I'm extending it out using the boom, I think you call that. Problem with that, I started getting a tilt warning and it wouldn't go far enough, so I had to actually bring the telehandler in a little bit further, being careful not to crash into stuff all the time. Unfortunately, despite this lovely footage, we had a bit of a drone failure. It's normally really good at holding itself still, but once in a while it goes a bit bananas. So we'll have to revert to the ground footage to see this particular bit of action. Well, I was certainly relieved to get this in. I mean, although it's not attached to the frame yet, this does give it a great deal of stability, a good weight on top, which you can grip onto. So I was relieved to see it drop down. I mean, in principle, it all lined up, but I wasn't quite sure what exactly I was going to get.
Right, for a first attempt, I'm very, very happy with this. As I believe you can see, there you go, you've got the angle of the lights coming through. So this is about 2 inches out. Now, I don't want to try and force it. I could try nudging it around with the fork of the telehandler. I don't want to do that. But it's occurred to me that rather than pull this down, if I actually shim up the other end by about the same amount, then in theory it will push it round and up, which will push this bit down and round, if you see what I mean. So I'm going to try that now.
Okay, so here's some drone footage. We're lifting it up again with the telehandler, just by a couple of inches, which allowed me to get the ladder up, looking a bit wobbly on the old ladder there, so that I could actually shim this bit of wood in, which then allowed me to drop it back, which pushed it across. I actually haven't got a shot of the resulting effect, but trust me, it did work, and you'll see it at the end.
Maybe I should stop acting so surprised all the time, but that has gone in exactly as I expected. I say that, I just realised it's actually a little bit high in the middle. I mean, this might just go in properly first time. Let's just go lower it a tiny bit. Right, that's gone suspiciously well. Nicely in there, sitting, well, about as good as it's ever going to go. And sitting on the raised collar truss and sitting on the back beam, well, the back diagonal. Okay, so this side purlin, there's one at the back here, you know what I mean. I don't think the camera quite picks it up. It looks fine from the front. It's definitely sloping down the way, so if you look from right to left, it's going down. Doesn't matter, but doesn't look right. So I just need to basically lift it up a bit higher on the left edge. Yeah, looks good, that. Looks really good. Sits nice and neat, nice and straight. Got this kind of like a, see this section sort of gouged out. Doesn't do me, by the way, it just came like that in the middle. So if it is a little bit offline, that throws the eye off. Oh, you reckon? It's great. I don't want to tempt fate here, because things can still go wrong, but things are really kind of going quite fast at the minute, which is terrific. Really, really pleased. So nice to be getting stuff up without any major issues. Okay, that's gone on all right. I mean, that's the easiest one to get on, because you just got to dunk it, but I don't want to be complacent. You know, this is where things can go wrong. We're putting more and more weight on the structure, so in theory it could go. Actually, I don't like those two bits of 2x4 holding it in place. They didn't feel, I mean, as the thing started to jut up against them, I really thought I could see them moving a bit. So I need to replace that sooner or later, because that's a decapitator. If ever I saw it, that bloody thing comes sliding down at you. Right, here we go. Just trying to get this shorter purlin in here. I think I'm going to get up on the ladder and just try and lift that. Not as heavy as you might imagine. I'm not sure if that gap is too small. Let's just try that now. Well, it has not been an easy day for filming, so I think I missed quite a few important bits, but I don't really care, because today has definitely been, I think, the most successful day I've ever had on site. We got the back section up, I'm talking about the top section on the back, and we got all 4 purlins in. I was not expecting to get that far. Went in a dream. For once, my measurements were accurate. Can you believe it? I can't. Oh dear. This is not one for the connoisseurs, this build. It's rough and ready. That's how we like it. God, look at that. Anyway, I'm going to do a bit more filming tomorrow, I think, for now, because it is actually 10 to 4. I like to finish at 4. So it has to be said. I mean, absolutely spot on. Let's hope it makes it through the night.
There we go, that's it for episode 28, and what a success that turned out to be. The only thing was I hired the telehandler for 5 days and ended up having it for 5 weeks. I'm not joking, by the way. If you enjoyed that and you're a new subscriber, why not go back to the beginning, to episode 1, to see everything that happened so far. As mentioned, if you could give the video a like or maybe click subscribe, that would really help. And if you do leave a comment, tell me where you're from and your name, and you might get on the map. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.